following episode is a work of fictional horror and may contain numerous horror elements, such as mentions of significant bodily harm, death, gore, otherworldly beings and powers, and sudden loud noises. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey everyone, this is Gaia, though you may know me better by the name of Dr. Robin. I'm the founder, producer, co-host, and co-writer of Welcome to the Foundation. While our team works on the final episode, concluding the story of Dr. Robin, Sarah, and Tess, we thought we would produce a couple of bonus episodes. This story happens after episode 7, when Sarah encounters Wilson's Wildlife Solutions and the polar bear. These episodes aren't meant to be canon, so much as interesting and fun, but they are a bit of a side to the story. So please enjoy the episode, and I'll see you in the finale.
Well, Tim, it's been wonderful having you here at Site 230, and I've loved getting to show you my new job. But I really should be getting back to work. I need to prepare for my next mission. Dr. Robin has been talking a lot about going to Site 1.
Of course. And it's just been wonderful catching up with you this week. I do really need your help with something, and I thought it would be fun to do it as part of your show.
Fine, but this is your last thing.
Hello, everyone. Bet you thought you'd heard the last of me, but I'm back because those supervisors just couldn't do this without old Tim Wilson of Wilson's Wildlife Solutions. Today I'm joined by Sarah.
Field Agent Sarah, to be exact.
Right, Field Agent Sarah. I was just seeing what this whole deal was with this broadcasting thing you had going on, and you know, we don't have to tell dear Robin about this.
That may not be a good idea. Dr. Robin usually figures everything out pretty fast.
Right. Well, I need your help specifically. As a former WWS member, former dear college student, and as a dear friend, we've encountered a problematic member of the Wilsons family, and I thought you may be able to figure out what exactly we should do about it.
Right, this isn't Bandit, or Zargoth?
No, neither of them. We are fully able to keep them both happy and behaved. No, this is about Dr. Spankoflex. Have you ever met him?
No?
Well, he's this delightfully friendly little birdie with an incredible talent for baking, driving, transport, and, let's say, loud conversation. He's been an active member of our community for some time now, but I do worry about his and our safety when keeping him around.
Okay, so you need my help with organizational safety with this bird? Do you have any information on him?
Why, we have tons. Almost too much, even. But he was under close supervision prior to joining us, and I worry that my files could create a sense of bias on how to handle him. Do you think you have any on your end?
Hold on. Let me check our terminal. One major result. It looks to be SCP-2337. Does this look like him?
That's him, handsome little fellow. So the supervisors did keep him for a while. What does it say?
Let's read through it. Item number, SCP-2337. Object class, Euclid. Special containment procedures. SCP-2337 is to be kept in a standard avian habitat cell with soundproofing. Personnel are required to wear level 26M ear protection while handling SCP-2337. Transportation for SCP-2337 is to be carried out using a portable soundproof crate. Though SCP-2337 has no need of nutrition, gummy worms are to be provided upon request and not restricted as a reward for good behavior. Due to SCP-2337's poor grasp of cause and effect, punishments and rewards will inevitably result in frustration on part of personnel involved. As of 12/5/14, all staff are advised to not attempt to emulate SCP-2337's speech patterns in its presence. and are assured that SCP-2337 understands some degree of human English. Description: SCP-2337 is a male corncrake. It is sapient, sentient, and capable of speech. All of its vocalizations are extremely loud, with a minimum observed volume of 90 decibels and a maximum of... Though this can and has caused damage to personnel's hearing, SCP-2337 is oblivious of its ability and is generally friendly with Foundation personnel. SCP-2337's vocalizations take the form of a language tangentially related to English. It often appears to be a word salad, but upon closer inspection, can have meaning in English through a series of vague innuendos, metaphors, rhyme, and arbitrary insertions of the word CACK. As such, SCP-2337 will answer to the name Dr. Spanko. Initial reports of SCP-2337 came from unusual noises from a field near Sussex, UK, which led to its capture in the same area. Upon containment, SCP-2337 appeared to take hostile action against Foundation personnel, emitting blasts of noise that ruptured the eardrums of 3 agents. Upon later examination, it was revealed that SCP-2337 was attempting to make friendly conversation. Addendum: since the containment of SCP-2337, several sapient creatures contained by the Foundation have displayed knowledge of its existence and have expressed interest in meeting with SCP-2337. The reason for this has yet to be fully understood, though it is believed that SCP-2337 has some sort of status as an authority figure to several particularly dangerous beings. Keter reclassification has been proposed for this reason, but is currently denied due to SCP-2337's apparent cooperation with the Foundation. Interview with SCP-2337. Begin log.
Please, state your name for the record.
CACK, am christened here Dr. Spankoflex. Am colloquially name-splapped with SCP-233 and Steven. Am complicate across the state.
Thank you.
And how?
Listen, SCP-2337.
It me, CACK.
You seem to have a pre-established relationship of sorts with several of the more dangerous creatures in our custody.
And how?
Yes, please elaborate on the exact nature of this relationship.
It done be shell forth. Able sauce am tricky mayonnaise forsooth, Aunt Ruth. Come packin' with store-brand hostility cakes for mouth stuff. Slavykins grew boarded and bearded from Chesapeake Bay to unknown Kenneth, my good Flibbert. The 3-ringed hobo stack, over and over, alakazam, CACK.
Please repeat the last statement in the dialect used by the Foundation.
10-4, X-Lex.
Please discontinue yodeling.
CACK, more sense?
We need you to cooperate and explain your answer in a coherent way.
Mitochondria, the molasses? What the Sprangle Freezer said, for shame this. Escalate the right query, Q molasses.
You're not hearing me, are you?
Only with the Nebraska, CACK. Flip amigo salad, CACK.
CACK?
What ho, eastward bound? Profound disappointment.
Snackutations, Dr. Spanko. CACK, UM authoritator, explanate.
CACK, 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 CACK.
What the frick? You're telling me this is real? How haven't I heard of this?
Well, we tend to keep him in a soundproofed room.
Okay, fine, but how did I not know about the concept of SCP-2337 either? It never came up in any of my lessons. Despite being a simple and easy to remember SCP, no one told me about it.
You can call him Dr. Spankoflex. We all do in the Wilsons family.
Right, sorry, training.
And as for why we never told you, we wanted to try to handle this ourselves for as long as we could. And you had bigger cubes to raise? What do you do to cubes anyway?
Oh man, Big Blue! I've missed that wonderful Euclidean right-angled cubic. Have you fed him any good architecture lately? Has he survived everything?
Yes, definitely. There have been lots of ruins for him to eat. He's doing quite well. He even met another cube that we call Radical Red.
Oh, that's wonderful. I'm so glad he's doing well. Oh, wait, right, Spankoflex. History aside, I think I got a rough idea. So, what's the problem?
Well, Dr. Spankoflex is just a little bit loud, you could say. Even in his soundproof box, his yodeling rattles the windows in other rooms. You might be able to hear it from here.
Tim, we're in North Nunavut. Aren't you based in Boring, Oregon? Okay, I see.
Yes, quite the troublemaker, that one. The poor doctor probably shouldn't have mocked him like that. Dr. Spankoflex has quite the odd temper sometimes.
Right, this is a hard one. You're the expert on this. I'm not sure if I know enough to help much. You know, Dr. Robin would probably...
Hey, Asian Sarah, what the hell are you airing? It sounded pretty weird. Tim? Tim Wilson? Why are you here?
Oh, speak of the devil, Dr. Robin. I've heard so many good things about you.
Tim?
So, you've heard about our little problem then. Think you could help?
Potentially, but we're gonna need a lot more information than the summary logs. Do you have more for us to cover?
Of course. Here's our folder that I put together for this trip.
The CACK hub. Huh? Okay, well, it looks like we have 3 main files then. The critter profile, which is your classic document type. We use a similar one for the polar bear. And CACK hard? And CACK hard 2 Revengeance Reloaded.
Just trust me.
And this even has reviews. What?
Fucking Bottle Dick became a canon. The bar has now burrowed into the ground. Aurelian.
That verse rolled out the red carpet for Kanye's long-awaited album, but it doubled as an announcement of Chance's new coloring book, then given the working title Chance 3, which may very well be the most eagerly anticipated hip-hop project this year that doesn't come attached to an actual record label. Pitchfork.
In a time of social fragmentation, vulgarity becomes a way of life. To be shocking becomes more important, and often more profitable, than to be civil or creative, or truly original. Al Gore.
This is easily the worst thing I have ever read. It's obnoxious to the point of insanity. You should be ashamed of yourself.
It was well written.
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Wayne Gretzky. Michael Scott.
You know, I was going to post this back in February, but I figured April 1st would be a good time to actually post a hub for crack fiction.
I still hear Dr. Spanko in my nightmares. Morhado.
Okay, April Fools is over. You can take the hub down now. A random day.
Okay. Sure. Alright. Let's start with the critter profile. Critter profile. CACK dealer. Name, CACK dealer. Also known as Dr. Spanko. Species, corncrake. Primary caretaker, Dr. Aaron Rosby. Diet, gummy worms. Housed, WWS Veterinary Sector. Creature features. This here is former Dr. Spanko, or as he likes to call himself, Herr Dr. Spankoflex, colloquially name-splapped with eminent to Tree and Steven. Unfortunately, he is currently facing several charges of possession and drug trafficking by the Oregon Department of Justice, or DOJ. Spanko's been in our care for a long time, and we never suspected him of any sort of wrongdoing. While we aim to provide justice for the city of Boring, Oregon and the surrounding communities, we are also focused on the welfare and care of our own animals. As such, we will continue working closely with the Boring Police Department and state authorities to conduct an investigation into how and why Dr. Spanko was able to create a multi-million drug empire from his enclosure. History. This is Dr. Aaron Rosby, a former co-worker and current caretaker of Dr. Spanko. I'll be writing the remainder of this document, given I'm the point person between us and local plus state authorities. Spanko was detained last Thursday during a routine traffic stop. Officers found Dr. Spanko in possession of 439 pounds of purified CACK cocaine. He was quickly returned to our custody, but not before taking a detour down to Clackamas County Jail. Prior to being arrested, Dr. Spanko was one of our esteemed on-site animal pharmacists, assisting with compounding drugs and filling prescriptions for many of his fellow critters. He was the first non-human to be given a medical license in the state of Oregon, although this has since been revoked. Clackamas County Police were kind enough to share with us the body cam footage from the discovery of Dr. Spanko with us. Forward. One officer, James Kilmer, stopped Dr. Spanko's car for traveling 25 miles over the speed limit in a residential area.
License and Rich. What? I'm going to need some extra help. Got an unmanned vehicle here with just some type of bird and...
Salutations, Blue Lawlicker. 'Tis I, CACK. Operating non-equine horse, excluding tiptoe hoppers and puppet masters and twine. Non-exciting registered cracks and prevention of unmonkeyed Marco Poloing regarding silent batter power. But CACK more Snow White than whitelicious snow.
Oh, you can talk.
CACK will CACK selflessly via the apple tube of my puppet. I possess this among many window brand mites. CACK.
Did you say you're in possession of crack?
CACK.
Pardon?
CACK.
Crack.
CACK.
CACK?
Crack.
You have crack in your car.
Precisely mentally, crumb punchers, providium colossal numerous greens for Spankoflex brand CACK.
Alright, sir, would you please step out of the vehicle for me?
CACK. CACK is catfish for inculpations. Unimpeachable. Blue man, dogomatronic, and bullface.
Afterward, Officer Kilmer was sent to a local hospital for hearing loss following the arrest. A later search of the car revealed several white packages placed in the vehicle's trunk. Spanko was returned to our custody shortly after being processed, with WWS paying $300,000 in bail. Special needs and accommodations. Spanko has been placed on what is essentially house arrest at WWS for the following few weeks until he has had his initial trial. The terms of his bond, as set by the Clackamas County Courthouse, are as such. Spanko must submit any of their droppings to the courthouse employees to test for illicit substances. Officers are permitted to collect this material from the enclosure if Spanko refuses to comply. Spanko is not permitted access to other individuals, save for select WWS employees and state officers. He has been provided with 2 carrier pigeons to facilitate private communication with the Oregon Department of Justice. And Spanko has been denied requests to restyle his feathers or wear any clothing articles that would prevent visibility of his ankle monitor, which must be kept on at all times, save for 15 minutes of supervised bird bath time thrice weekly. Spankoflex drug allegations preliminary trial. On September 15th, Clackamas County Courthouse held a preliminary trial to determine the authenticity of the evidence brought forward against Spankoflex. Present and pictured below are Judge Larison, Dr. Rosby on behalf of WWS, Prosecution Esquire Davis, Defense Esquire Sanders, Officer Kilmer, and Defendant Dr. Spankoflex. Begin log.
We are here for a preliminary trial to determine whether there is sufficient evidence to proceed with the charges against the defendant, Dr. Spankoflex.
Your Honor, I'd like to open by thanking you and the Oregon DOJ for allowing us to retain custody of Dr. Spankoflex until his trial concludes. Wilsons understands the seriousness of these charges and aims to resolve this situation as soon as possible through cooperation and compromise.
Right. Thank you, Dr. Robsby.
I'd like to clarify that Wilson's Wildlife Solutions does not condone any of the behavior Dr. Spankoflex is accused of. We deny any wrongdoing or involvement in the face of...
Wilson's is not the party on trial today. Will the prosecution please rise?
The defendant, Dr. Spankoflex, inmate 2337 at Clackamas County Jail, has been accused of several counts of possession with intent to sell. These charges have been brought forth as the result of a confession and the retrieval of several suspicious packages from the suspect's car.
Pisms! As if CACK would mool Schrumbart into monotony and tedious, CACK will window flex his epithecals and tightrope the column bomb.
Dr. Defendant, please speak only when addressed.
As I was saying, I believe we found a motive as to why Dr. Spankoflex was transporting and selling illicit substances. Dr. Roseby, what can you tell me about WWS's annual budget?
We're sustained entirely off of donations.
I find it unlikely that a conservation center is able to afford a $300,000 bond solely off of community donations. I've looked into your financial records. You have several large sums of money coming from untraced sources.
We have a few especially large donors, but we allow folks to submit their donations anonymously to protect their privacy and their interests.
I understand. It's simply something to keep in mind.
WWS and Dr. Spankoflex are separate entities. We aren't aware of all of Spankoflex's personal activities. If he was providing us with money, it wasn't something we knew about.
I advise the present parties to remain on task. Now is not the time for cross-examination or baseless speculation.
All a big hanky-panky regarding my snow. Lemons in your esophagus. Crumb punchers stand squawk what failamentals donkey farts. Simply inquire.
I'm not sure I follow.
Conga line of brain train. Corn mazed. CACK. No potion school child trial. Simplisticals. Sobe is the hanky-panky. CACK has qualifications. To clarify your cloaca. Cadroom flantix for law licking. Sufficient.
Defendant, I believe I told you you'd be best to stay silent until addressed.
Euthanize the goose. CACK invites your indulgence.
Spankoflex reaches under his wing and pulls out a small white bag of white powder on his beak. He flies up towards Judge Larison and drops the package in his lap.
CACK gives you some CACK for your bewilzerbub.
Larison screeches and falls out of his seat. A nearby officer lunges towards Spankoflex, grabbing him in midair. Spankoflex lets out a cack and defecates on the judge.
Get it off.
The courtroom adjourned for the following 30 minutes to allow Larison a chance to recompose himself. Dr. Spankoflex was returned to the Clackamas County Jail during this time on charges of contempt of court. Closer examination of the bag thrown by Dr. Spankoflex revealed it to possess a logo of the defendant's likeness. The bag was entered into evidence as its contents were submitted for immediate chemical examination.
I would like to speak with our team at a later time to understand just how our defendant was able to bring these substances past security. That said, I believe this incident leaves me with little doubt that there is sufficient evidence to proceed to a formal trial.
Your Honor, the defense hasn't had the chance to speak.
I'm unsure what defense you can provide in the face of such overwhelming evidence, but please proceed.
I call forward Ellie Smith, a representative from Oregon State's toxicology lab.
A young woman towards the back of the courtroom rises, clutching several papers.
Miss Smith, would you please tell us your connection with this case?
I was responsible for testing the contents of the Spankoflex brand CACK mix recently entered into evidence.
And what can you tell us about your findings?
The substance inside the Spankoflex bag is not crack cocaine, but ordinary cake mix.
Cake mix?
Cake mix.
The courtroom is silent for several seconds.
And the original packages in Spankoflex's car?
Also cake mix. It was a lengthy process testing all 439 pounds of it. No idea how he obtained so much.
Your Honor, the prosecution finds it in the best interest of justice to request all drug trafficking charges against Dr. Spankoflex be dropped at this time.
Charges are hereby dropped. Court adjourned.
Well, that was something.
Oh, just wait until you've read the CACK series.
The what?
Yeah.
CACK. Okay. Hold on. The site security director sat at his desk, pulling the advanced noise-canceling headphones into place. He looked around the room. Thick, padded gray acoustic dampening foam covered the walls, floor, and ceiling. Still, he assured himself, it was important that he sat at his desk for this. He nodded at the security officer standing in the room with him, wearing headphones similar to his own. The junior officer exited the room, returning quickly with a solidly constructed metal box. He placed it on the folding metal chair set up across from the security director. Gingerly placing a small control device on the desk, the junior officer quickly closed the door, with himself finally, thankfully, outside. The security director picks up the small gray device, his thumb pressing lightly across the buttons. Had things really gotten so out of hand that this was his best shot? He let out a deep sigh as his thumbs flexed and he felt the button click in. He didn't hear the front plate of the metal box snap up, letting the pale, fluorescent light spill into half the box from the reinforced bulb suspended overhead.
SCP-2337. Before I begin, I will inform you that, as security director of this site, my purview includes containment specificities of sapient elucid anomalies, such as yourself.
He flipped open a file folder on his desk as he spoke, pulling a few pages aside to find the part he was after.
The boys down in the research division seem to think you want to help out.
He squinted into the open crate, making out the shadowed, squat form of the small avian figure within.
But from what I can tell, you're a rogue element. A loose cannon. Attacking doctors, making what are obviously thinly veiled threats at personnel. I won't stand for it.
He stopped in a futile attempt to prevent his face from reddening.
Still, you're the best damn chance we've got. I'm giving you a chance here to prove yourself. Are you gonna take it?
Jumble your tumble dryer more peacefully if you thinks to batch honey flies.
Dr. Spanko strode to the front of his small house and, with a flap of his wings, alighted atop it.
Hopefully it me, CACK. Dremel down your Dumbledores and exploitate the Chardonnay.
Very well. One of the site's keeters has gotten loose.
He eyed Dr. Spanko, who seemed more preoccupied in preening himself than listening.
Do you know what that is? A keeter?
Better, English setter.
Right. Good. The designation is 682. Big, scary lizard.
He paused for a moment to look over his dossier.
This was hidden behind a sea of redaction. But you have some connection with this creature, don't you?
And how?
Good, and...
Several seconds passed in stark silence. The security director tightly pressed the bridge of his nose, air sucking past his frustrated teeth.
All right, fair enough. That's not all of it at any rate. 682 managed to get itself infected with both 008 and 217 before it got out of the facility. We've managed to reroute a handful of nearby mobile task forces to keep everything quarantined to the town of Arcadia.
Bespoken, Vamoose. Has impassel without hardly strangle chills.
The spry bird gave another quick flap, alighting to strut across the site director's desk.
Much back season convey give, CACK. Calls for an also good doctor, says I.
The security director's lips mouthed the words, trying to pull apart their meaning.
Convey? A doctor? We don't have any doctors that would be authorized or willing to go. We've already reached the limit of what we can accomplish with humans. That's why I've got you here in the first place.
Don't sour your purple moon, dicky old chum. Thinkwise, anywho, Herr Dr. Spankoflex know. Has the assambulance.
His beak gripped another folder, tossing it open in front of the security director. The man's eyes widened, his face turning pale and grim. This was already the worst idea he'd ever seen. The plague doctor sat in his sterile white cell. He held in one hand sharp forceps and a white cloth in the other. With absurdly practiced hand, he applied a fine sheen of oil to the tool. It had been far, far too long since they'd been put to proper use, but it would not do to let them fall into disrepair. The door to his containment cell slid open with a low beep. The junior officer stood outside and paled visibly when the black-robed doctor looked over his shoulder to regard the open portal.
To what do I owe this unexpected visit?
SCP-049, you have been requested to...
The junior officer cut off, thankful he was wearing his headphones, as Dr. Spanko strode from the hallway to stand in the open doorway, turning towards the security officer.
Excardin while I extrapolate the laceration.
The bird turned, entering the cell. The plague doctor, his eyes never leaving the small bird, turned in his chair to better face his visitor.
Afternoon, CACK.
Good morning to you as well, Doctor.
Uncle Saltybone went and garfunkled the whole substrate, leathered up the splatoon plain and simple, leaves us with a grim holdover and a basket full of ladyfingers. And make no mistake, Loose Ruth and the truth caboose somnambulates through the sunset and fleck no CACK.
Would that I could, good doctor, but I am unfamiliar with the elements you describe. I have devoted my practice.
Beast ill lens, CACK. Spanko know this, does me? Unspill your Ouija board and pock your lepers on me. Am name called the Grand Whistle Techo Speak in the land of hungry ghosts. Instruculation is the chiefest of my ability. First ways, unstruct yourself on the finer points of dancing down the dandy.
A short time later, the security director joined his junior officer in the doorway. The younger man's jaw slack with something resembling disbelief. He followed the officer's gaze to the two doctors, the small one's feet covered in ink bouncing atop the large one's journal.
What in God's name are they doing?
I believe 2337 is teaching 049 how to treat infections of 008 and 217. At least that's what I gather. It's been all bristleback this and CACK that for a while now, sir. Then he dipped his feet in ink and started jumping up and down on 049's journal, making typewriter noises.
Yes, I can tell.
He was thankful for the headset's design, transmitting their voices to one another. He was already gritting his teeth at the grating noise, the volume of which, based on the clarity with which he could hear it, would have made a locomotive blush.
We don't have all day to let them dick around, though. I've got Hammered Down and Nine-Tailed Fox stretched to their limits just keeping the town quarantined. And Samsara just threw in the towel. Speaking of which, 682 is apparently immune to magic now, which is just fantastic.
He blinked. The noise had stopped.
Excuse me, gentlemen, but if you haven't heard, there is an epidemic at hand. Please move aside so my colleague and I may go tend to the infected.
The plague doctor held his bag in his left hand, the small bird perched on his right shoulder. The security director blinked again. How had he been able to hear 049? He reminded himself to buy the boys down in the R&D a round of beers sometime for outdoing themselves.
Yes, good. Except there isn't anyone infected here. They're about a mile away. If you follow me, I will show you to the specially constructed vehicle we put together for—
CACK, says I. Wrangle us up a constabulary conveyor partaking to the Rudy Tooty Point and Shooty. Is of most importance to our plantations. Say if it's not.
I'm afraid so. I wouldn't pretend to understand the full complexity of the good doctor's robust plan, but I have gleaned that a police cruiser will be of significant importance to our mission.
The officers stole uneasy, sidelong glances at one another, then again at the bird track page. Throwing up his hands in defeat, the security director led the way.
Rye on the toad!
The car swerved, smiting down a federal mailbox in the prime of its life.
Clams below the shoe!
Dr. Spanko performed a small jig of approval as the plague doctor's hand slid towards the top of the wheel. Hastily stopped vehicles littered the sidewalks and made the roads treacherous. On the bright side, all the death and devastation made tracking their queries simple enough. Still, all the corpses did seem to be making navigation tricky. Seizing the chance to be useful, Dr. Spanko perched himself on the dashboard, taking in a deep breath and belting out a great, piercing police siren yodel. As the cruiser rounded one final corner, it screeched to a halt. Their target was obvious. Augmented corpses dotted the streets, their Foundation-made arms not up to the task of felling the dragon. However, it seems that they had succeeded in driving it to its lair. The bird's siren faltered when he saw the multinational chain-based superstore the beast had chosen.
Mulwort! Mine ancient apiary!
His eyes narrowed. This would require all of his CACK. The fortunate dead were littered across the great hole through which the enemy had made his entrance into the structure, and out from it poured the shambling wretches who languished in worship and hatred of their destroyer god. Neither quite alive nor dead, not fully machine nor flesh. These creatures knew only what their creator knew, to hate and to kill.
It is worse than I feared,
the plague doctor observed, retrieving a handful of tools from his bag as he stepped out of the vehicle.
I shall tend to the sick here, good doctor. You should see to what lies within.
He fixed his attention on the flood of the sick, pouring across the parking lot to meet them.
There is no need to worry. You are suffering from a mild illness, which I am here to relieve you of.
Whirring gears and necrotizing flesh surged at him, desperate to tear him apart. Steel flashed in the noontime sun. A slash of a scalpel here, a flourish of syringe there. The plague doctor whirled with dancer's grace, more operating room than man. Each movement artfully evaded the clutches of the sick, and suffered his cold, uncaring medicine on the horde. Corpses flew, and the cacophony of metal gears falling loose to the ground filled the air. Dr. Spanko watched briefly, as his student practiced the remedies he had taught him. Still, there was no time to loiter. The greatest foe lay yet ahead. Taking wing, he soared over the horde and entered the most cursed of places. A bastion of dark power it was, filled with every manner of thing that could be wanted at all wretchable prices. He alighted on a high plastic sign bearing the number 4. Seconds turned into minutes, punctuated by faint rumblings from within the building. He remained vigilant, alert for any hint of movement. In an instant, the floor erupted. The tremendous beast bursting from below, its wounds fully recovered. The dragon locked eyes with Dr. Spanko. The stench of fear filled the bird's lungs. The great lizard threw itself to the ground, howling an aisle-rattling cry of submission. It began curling into as small a ball as its leviathan bulk would allow, recognizing the oncoming doom. Spanko descended. strutting closer to the trembling lizard. Then he saw them. The familiar, tantalizing, multicolored protrusions slowly working their way out of the monster's skin.
Strangle fruit! Stewed from the blizzard's ghoul net!
He hopped up on the beast, plucking one of the red gummy lumps from its tail and swallowing it without hesitation. Or at least, he tried to.
Gackle grapes! Poison!
The bird exclaimed, finally recognizing the dangerous bear shape the gummies took. The devilish lizard's toothy maw curled upwards in a contemptuous sneer. The plague doctor came running at the commotion, his gaze falling on Dr. Spanko. He was in rough shape, his coughs violently cracking the tile floor beneath him. Weakly and with the faintest of thuds, the bird's body fell, still, to the ground.
Doctor, no!
Exclaimed the surgeon as he ran to his fallen ally, cradling him in his arms.
Do not die, damn it, I will cure you.
His words were cut off as the behemoth stood, emitting a slow, low growl. He stood straight, cradling his companion under one arm. With the other, he thrust his index finger outwards towards the monster.
I will never forgive you for harming my teacher,
he bellowed, striding forward quickly and lightly touching the tip of the great lizard's nose. A long moment passed, and the beast continued breathing.
Well, it was worth a shot,
the doctor said to himself as he began sprinting towards the police car. The police cruiser hurtled down the road, ramping off a steep upward slope and returning to the ground hard enough for the bottom of the car to send sparks flying from the pavement. The fleeing doctor kept his foot pressed as hard to the pedal as it would go. At some point, the radio had come to life, belting out a speedy Eurobeat song. Frantically, he eyed the arcane control panel, but he hadn't the foggiest idea how to stop it. He gritted his teeth. He wasn't sure why, but this was reminding him of home. The dragon, enraged at the removal of its supplicants and the theft of his rightfully killed bird, tore down the road, not far behind and gaining fast. Street signs, stoplights, even vehicles went flying before the rampaging beast bearing down on them. Then he saw it, the overturned truck blocking the road, and knew their doom was upon them. With the calmness of a man walking to the gallows, the doctor slammed the brakes on, screeching to a halt alongside the crashed truck. He stood from the car, turning to face death sprinting at him.
It looks like this is the end, my friend.
Dr. Spanko's eyes shot open. His cough launched the gummy bear into the ionosphere. The shockwave tore the very molecules of the police cruiser apart, rendering it into a loose cloud of disappearing atoms. The force hit the dragon head-on and traveled through the beast's body, shredding and obliterating the monster's form until all that remained was a husk of gore no larger than a cat. Coming to rest at the plague doctor's feet, buildings began crumbling outwards in a radius around the CACK, the onslaught losing its potency after it had smashed a mile in each direction. From Sydney to Shanghai, seismologists boggled.
I'm sorry, did I say something?
The plague doctor asked as he turned, elated to see his friend alive. The two had had little time for a reunion, as task force helicopters swarmed in, armed and armored troops sliding down the back of ropes to survey the situation. The team leader walked up to the doctors as his men worked the regenerating ball of flesh into an acid-filled box.
Congratulations, doctors. I can't believe the amount of collateral damage, but we got him contained.
Dr. Spanko stands on his fellow's shoulder and turns to face the camera.
Better Nate than lever!
Laugh track. Cut to black. Roll credits. Laugh track. Cut to black. Tim, what is this?
I promise there is a purpose. There's one more story if we have time. Though Dr. Spankoflex is currently suing for the rights to CACK 2.
No way. I think I know enough. Tim, there is no way that any of this is real. This reads like crack comedy at best and half-baked Foundation fanfiction at worst. Where did you even get these CACK stories?
Well, I will admit I was given these specific stories from Dr. Spankoflex himself.
I see. That answers every question. Is there anything else?
Well, I also have this file about CACK 3.
CACK 3. We out of ideas. Fuck. Hallucinated by Gabriel Jade and Uncle Nicolini.
I see. So what did you need help with again?
You see, we don't currently have a way to keep our site or people safe. We must have gone through at least a dozen new windows just this month. Things are also really dangerous out there, and I admittedly do worry that he will attract unsavory individuals.
Well, Dr. Robin, don't we have some anomalous soundproofing in the basement? Why don't we use that?
Huh. I guess you're right. It's supposed to be nearly mathematically perfect. Would that be enough, Tim?
I certainly hope so. It sounds at least enough to keep him quiet to the outside world.
All right, Sarah, go get it. Then we need to see Tim off. We have a lot of preparation for your next mission to do.
On it, sir.
Ooh, are you making me part of the team, finally?
Don't count on it, Tim. Right, we're still live, aren't we? Just turn this off. And as we close, I would like to give a special thank you to those in real life who made this episode possible, including Kevin MacLeod, who made the music that you could hear in this episode. You can listen to his music and more at incomtech.com. As well, I would like to thank the various SCP authors, including Gabriel Jade and Uncle Nicolini, who wrote CACK Hub, CACK Hard, and CACK Hard 2, Revengeance Reloaded. I would also like to thank Dave U. Fool, who wrote SCP-2337, Dr. Spanko, and Harmacy, who wrote the critter profile, CACK Dealer. As well, I would like to thank the many, many voice actors who had roles in this episode, including Moss, who played the role of Dr. Redacted, Officer Kilmer, and Mr. Fish, John, who played the CACK bird Dr. Spanko, Echo, who played the role of Judge Larison and SCP-049, the Plague Doctor, Esme, who played the role of Dr. Rosby, as well as the Small Metal Man, Emily, who was Prosecution Esquire David, as well as the Security Director, Izzy, who was Defense Esquire Sanders, as well as SCP-049-J, the other Plague Doctor from CACK Hard 2, and Peach, who played the role of Miss Smith and the Junior Officer. We'll see you next time.